Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie Bree. Today I'm talking about the Pizza Hut BookIt program from the late 80s to the early 90s. I don't know when the program ended or if it ever did end. But we're talking about my memories of the BookIt program. So, I learned how to read preschool. I never went to preschool, but I was already reading by the time I got to kindergarten. Part of this is the fact that I was into comic books at an early age and picture books. I had a lot of little golden books. And so I taught myself how to read with help from my big sister, who would read stories to me and then point out what the words and sounds were on the page as we were reading them. She read me a lot of golden books, and she read me a lot of choose your own adventure books and a lot of what are they called? Um, Shit, I can't remember what they're called. Dr. Seuss books, but I'm trying to remember the Scholastic, those like hardcover Scholastic tall books that are like movie adaptations. She read me a lot of those, which is why I started with, because they had pictures to kind of go with the words, so I could read the words on the page, look at the picture, and get an understanding of what the words meant. So this is how I taught myself to read. So by the time I was in kindergarten, I was already reading at a third or fourth grade reading level, and my kindergarten teacher was angry at me for being ahead of the class instead of impressed by my being ahead of the class, which really pissed me off because I would go to the library to check out books at a higher reading level, and the librarian would be like, those books aren't age appropriate, and I would have to prove to the librarian that I could read at that level. And because I moved schools a lot, I had to do this at every fucking library, which got really fucking annoying. So there were two ways I would prove that I actually could read at that level. First was to just grab a book, a random book that there's no way I could have memorized, because she accused me of memorizing like Dr. Seuss books. So I just pull a book off the shelf and just start reading it to her, and then I'd slam the pages down and be like, all right, let me check out the books I want, because I can read. I know you don't believe me, but I can read. The other way I would prove that I could read was by taking those BookIt tests on the computer. And then I would get points for, I'd get little ribbons and things for BookIt for passing the tests. And then I would take those ribbons to Pizza Hut and get a free personal pan pizza. I'm a fat girl. It is obvious I ate a lot of pizza growing up. I also worked at Pizza Hut for many years, which I've already talked about. What I distinctly remember is they had a list. The BookIt program was kind of stupid in that it had a list of books you could read, because the tests were on the computer, which meant they had to be crafted by a computer programmer. So I had to read bullshit books I wasn't interested in just because those were the books they wanted you to read. But still, like twist the librarian's arm to get them to check out the books I wanted so I could read the books I wanted, which were mostly like, young adult and adult books. I was reading Stephen King in third grade, like full-on Stephen King books. I read Gerald's Game when I was in the third grade, and I'll tell you what, that is not a book for a fucking 9-year-old to read. Because I had questions after that book and no one to answer my questions because I was too young for the source material. I found out. Anyways, I was also watching a lot of R-rated horror movies around that age. So I was already familiar with, like, oh, girls have boobs, because I was seeing this in movies, and I was like, I'm not going to turn away, because I'm like, what the fuck are those? And what are the guys doing with them? And why are they doing that to them? Like I said, my 9-year-old brain had questions. So, I have mixed memories. I'm not going to say fond memories of the BookIt program. I enjoyed getting a free book or I mean a free pizza from Pizza Hut, and always telling my parents, take me to Pizza Hut and give me the pizza, which I always loved doing. But I didn't enjoy the rubbish I had to read to take the tests, to get the points, to get the pizza, because they were fucking kids' books, and I was already above that. I was like beyond that. You know, I was reading fucking, what is it? Fucking Dr. Seuss. I was reading Dr. Seuss by the time I was 4. I was already like bored with Dr. Seuss by the time I was 5. I was like, give me something real to read. Reading so much is what fueled me to become a writer. Speaking of being a writer, I am a published novelist. I have a book called Goldfish on the Mountain on Amazon, which you can now get at a discounted price. So if you go to Amazon.com and search Goldfish on the Mountain, check it out. It's a good horror thriller. It's not my best work, I'll admit. Grammatically, I made a lot of mistakes and didn't have an error, and it's hard to edit your own shit. But it's still a fun book to read. I've had friends who've read it who told me they enjoyed it, and it's getting good reviews on Amazon, so you definitely want to check that out. Especially if, you want to teach your kids how to read. It's not a book for kids. I'll just tell you that right now. Anyways, but hey, who am I to judge? So my question is, did you have any experiences with the BookIt program, and what were your experiences? Now, I don't remember the books they made me read. I'm sure it was kid shit, bullshit, like fucking, I don't know, Boxcar Children or fucking Island of the Blue Dolphins and bullshit like that they always, wanted you to read in grade school. Because I remember reading all that rubbish in grade school. Just not a fan of. But I was really like into like adult books at that point. I was reading horror and sci-fi books and fantasy books and stuff like that. A lot of Terry Brooks and Star Wars books and things like that. And Stephen King. I read a lot of fucking Stephen King. And Michael Crichton. I read a lot of Michael Crichton as a kid. I read the novel of Jurassic Park before I watched the movie. So I went into the movie knowing what was going to happen, kind of. Or at least having an idea. But I was still, like, blown away. So, yeah, that's a damn good movie, by the way. Other than that, I guess my second question is, are they still doing BookIt? Do you know? Do you have kids that are in grade school that are doing BookIt? And are they still giving away free pizzas, or have they changed the incentive to something else? I don't know. So if you know, let me know. Stay cool.